Hello, I'm Jon Sermon. I'm a church leader based in Suffolk in the UK, and I also have strong contacts with a number of international ministries, including a major contact with Uganda and some of the churches and ministries there. Throughout this pandemic period, I've been recording these videos for encouragement, not every day, but quite frequently, and with 2 days just gone without, it's time for another. And it's a Friday. As usual, on Friday, we have a prayer meeting held on Zoom, so a number from the churches gather together and pray together. And it never fails to be a source of encouragement to me. I know that we would prefer to be physically in each other's presence and able to hug each other and greet each other in all sorts of physically appropriate ways. But whilst we can't, for good reason, we find other ways. And obviously the tool of the internet is such a blessing in these circumstances, as well as in what we would call more normal circumstances. And today, as usual, it keeps on happening. We find God leading a small group of us in prayer in such a way that is really affirming and fulfilling and life-affirming. And another thing that came over the internet today that I found really encouraging in relation to the fact that probably most of you know, here in the UK, we can now hold worship in our churches in a really quite restricted way. Obviously, we have a lot of hygiene precautions. We have to wear masks. We have hand sanitizer all the time. We keep social distancing at 2 meters. And the one that really seems to hit home to an awful lot of people, we can't sing out loud together as a congregation. Yes, we can, in some circumstances, with safe precautions, we can have solo singers and lead singers, even a small choir in some churches. But we can't have everybody engaged fully with their voice. And people with the best will in the world, they can't help it. They're sort of just gently mumbling behind their masks as they try not to sing along with hymns and worship songs. Well, I saw an article from another church leader listing 10 ways to worship without singing. And really, it was so encouraging because like I'm doing now, when we're in conversation, we might use hand movements. Some people use sign language if they know it. And I've often seen people joining in singing a worship song in the days we could gather and could sing together, doing sign language with it. I even know rough sign language to one particular song that I frequently do that with. But we use our hands expressively as we speak. We use our whole bodies to convey things. Excuse me. It seems strange if we don't also do that when we're conveying our worship to God. And so this other church leader had suggested various things we can do using our heart and mind, our breath, our legs and feet. Our hands is an obvious one. Raising hands to God as an attitude of prayer and praise is a very normal thing that churches in the West seem to have lost sight of. Things like dancing in worship. Now, in Uganda, there's a church I go to where it's the only place I've heard them announce from the front that the stewards will now move some of the chairs to give us more space for dancing. Our breath was one of them, and that also came up at our prayer meeting this morning. One of our people referred to the fact that in Jewish worship, in some contexts, they literally breathe in gently and breathe out gently, aware of breathing in God's Holy Spirit, the breath of God that came in creation, that is the one of the images used in the Bible for God, the Holy Spirit. And even the name of God given to Moses in the burning bush We think it's probably pronounced Yahweh. Some people make it more anglicised and use Jehovah as a derivative from it. But apparently it was, I mean, its translation is I am. And this is why the Jewish people at the time of Jesus thought it was wrong to use the word, because to say I am is almost like claiming to be God, because it's how God identified himself from the bush to Moses. But that somehow the sound of it is like breathing in and breathing out. Yahweh. Breathe in God's Spirit. Breathe out God's blessing. Finding ways to worship when we can't sing together. Whether you are normally attending a church at all or not, whether you've engaged with one on Zoom or YouTube or some other means, whether you pray on your own at home, if you think of these sorts of things I've just described, it can enhance your personal worship as well as worship with other people. Breathe God's Spirit in. Breathe out your concerns to him in your prayers. God bless you.